look to me forward. Thank you for your questions. Look forward to answering them.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes. So, 5 segments, 8 minutes, 2 hosts, 1 guest, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, how are you?
I'm well. I'm a little tired. I feel like we just barely made it to Friday. How are you feeling?
I feel that way too. You know, you and I talked about, like, should we take a week off? Should we take next week off? And I think the determination was that everybody is so freaked out right now that we should probably have a show. Yeah, because, like, there's a lot of bad vibes out there, right? Between, like, I had to make a list because there's so many things. I mean, we'll get into the Elon Musk Twitter bullshit. There's that, which is very, very unsettling 2 weeks before the fucking election, to let this weirdo with foreign money just set a flamethrower to the place.
I know.
You've got the whole Paul Pelosi thing, which we had happened last show, but I think we really didn't even have time to fully process how horrifying that is and was and continues to be, and what that might augur for where the country is headed, which is really, really scary. You've got the
war. About him. I care about the country, but I really want this man to make it.
Yeah, he got released from hospital.
Horrifying. I'm so sad for them. I'm so sad for that family.
It's awful, and they don't deserve this shit. You've got the Ukraine, situation, which continues to be just war crimes every day, and Putin's still around. You've got Bibi coming back like fucking Jason Voorhees in Israel. What's going on with that? And then you have, I don't know, something's going on Tuesday. I can't remember. I think that's really what everybody.
Yeah, I think it's the Tuesday thing. I feel like it's been this great sort of white knuckling month, because we could feel it coming the past 4 weeks. And so I think it's really just about, can we just get to the other side of Tuesday, and then we'll sort of know, at least with the next couple of years, whether we can take a big sigh of relief and get back to work, or I don't even know. I don't want to talk about the other one. I actually want to have a positive show, even though we have all this stuff to cover. So look, there's my drink. I didn't think I had it. All right, what are you drinking tonight?
This is the thing. I just skipped right. I'm just having beer.
You're having a beer. I'm having water. Ice water. Yeah. That's all I can handle. So I hope everybody is having a nice night with dinner and cocktails and Friday and Shabbat and the whole thing. Be great. Okay.
I want to say too, before we get started, your video, your camera is a little wonky, I think. So
my camera?
Your camera is a little bit wonky. It's like lagging behind. It's like pixelated weird. I thought it was just me, but
connection, even though I'm directly plugged in.
It seems to be the
same. So, okay, guys, I'm sorry if I'm behind, or Greg, do whatever you got to do with me. Just roll over me because I can't tell. It looks great on my end. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It might recover. Like the country, it might recover. But this is what I propose for the rest of the show and for the rest of the night, and really from now until Tuesday.
Okay.
I think we should just speak it into existence that we win this shit, right?
Okay.
Because there's going to be the rest of our lives to be miserable if we don't. So let's just say, let's speak it into existence. I'm saying, let's just say Tuesday's going to be fine. We're going to win. Our guest is going to come on and maybe say some nice things to this effect. We think.
Great.
I've been getting a lot of, no joke. I have been getting a lot of positive information from people.
Me too.
That are not just looking at the bullshit, the polling, which is suspect, and apparently which models, it's midterms and the other party usually wins in the midterms. We have to factor that into the, like the media does, completely fucking ignoring context all the time, every time. So I think that, we're going to win. It's going to be cool. I said this, I remember saying this on election day or the day after election day, where it's going to be fine. I'm going to call the election for Biden. I say we do it now. If we're wrong, at least we will have been happy for these 4 days before we, before we devolve into a dystopian hellscape.
I'm in. So let's dive into our first topic.
Let's do it.
All right. The timer is on.
All right.
Okay, dead bird.
Okay,
yeah, you go. You start.
I'm going to ask you. I'm going to set you up.
Because you're setting me up. Okay.
There's only, I have a third way possibility that I'll talk about in a minute. But what Elon Musk either bought this thing because he is so super smart and he thinks he's so wonderful and he's so rich and nobody tells him no ever, that he really thinks that he can make money and fix it and make it run better. That's A. Or B, a bunch of hostile foreign governments gave him money to come in here 2 weeks before the election and blow it up. Intentionally, or he's just so fucking dumb they knew he would blow it up because he sucks. So what do you think? What's your take on what's going on here?
Having been accused of being a hostile foreign agent set to infiltrate from our allies, even with the mix of China and Mossad and to come into Twitter and take it down and suppress voices and all this horse shit. That was thrown at me. I'm very hesitant to throw that at anyone, even Elon Musk.
Okay.
But certainly, if we were to check boxes, there's some boxes to check in that column. And I want to get to later about how, we kind of have the sort of an uneducated, our greater population, certainly jury pools now, we know, not quite the right idea of what it means to be a foreign agent that's unregistered or surreptitious or whatnot. Okay, so that aside, I think I know there's a lot of speculation within our community that this is something that Jack and Elon kind of planned together because they're going for something else altogether. They're trying to create a protocol, something that can be open so they can come in and control. It's somehow connected to cryptocurrency, what they want to do with cryptocurrency. I'm not dismissing any of that. I think those broader sort of forces at work of people talking and thinking and pushing and whatnot, I just think we can't discredit that this guy is just a loser and so toxic. It says the wealth is secondary, right? The wealth we do know is a lot of it just sort of propped up, and he's like, okay, this will be the guy. The Kremlin decided, all kinds of people decided, and he benefited from all that. However, early he may have been identified and propped up, and I certainly think he's a fraud in that level, in the inventor level. Ergo, I haven't seen one inventive thing out of him. He's just doing what every dumbass capitalist does when they come in and they grab a hold. And I'm a capitalist. They're completely out of their depth. They grab a hold of something because they can purchase it, and they just fire people, lay people off, start charging for shit, and the whole thing burns down. There's nothing inventive in what he's doing. These are easy to identify mistakes and easy to identify playbooks from, a century, 2 centuries of this going on in America. So I just think that Elon, Kanye, Donald Trump, that sort of, they think they're this trifecta that's going to change the world. And he thinks he's going to be this thing. And he's just out of his depth. He doesn't get it. He really, so I think that is also on the table. I think that this guy really enjoyed 4chan at some point in his arrested development and thinks that that's what humor is and that's what free speech is. And he's just going to bring it back. And this place, let me tell you guys, because so many of you, some people that are our followers and our friends, were in those channels with me early on. They saw what it was. They know what it's like, you know, in that B room, in those corners of the chans and Reddit and whatnot. Most people have no idea. They have no idea. They might have heard of a Pepe meme. They never really saw them. They didn't see the child pornography, all the stuff that was just rampant in those channels, that these people just that are in them, populating them with their gross, disgusting hate content and laughing and getting off on it. That is very possible what Elon Musk is talking about when he's talking about free speech and humor. He appears to me to also be one of those brains. And I'm not talking about the Asperger's, I'm talking about the psychopathy. I'm talking about the narcissism. I'm talking about the cluster B personality disorder. So this could just be that experiment for him. He thinks everyone's gonna get it because he gets it. He doesn't understand why we're repulsed, why it's revulsive, why society condemns that. He doesn't. I don't think he understands it. In his core, I don't think he gets it. I think he knows how to nod his head at very fancy parties where they worship him for the electric car, and has tricked and fooled a lot of people. But he does not. This is not the same kind of brain. It's not the person everybody thinks he is. It's not. That's my very long-winded answer.
I like it. That's a good answer. I have a theory.
Okay.
I have another theory.
All right.
A third way, if you will.
Okay.
So in the world of sports, which I know people watching this love sports, there's this, there are very few sports franchises, right? There's a very finite amount of these things. So owning a sports franchise is kind of a big deal. Now, right now, the Phoenix Suns are going to be up for sale, and they're going to sell for they're going to blast past whatever the record is and sell for north of $4 billion. And not because it's worth it, quote unquote, but because there are so few of these things, and there's more guys that are out there that want them than there are, it's like Picasso's or something, because there's so few of them, and the prestige of owning one is so great. People are willing to be like, fuck it, I'm just going to pay whatever it costs. I don't care. It's like what JP Morgan said about yachts. Someone, he said, if you have to ask how much it costs, you can't afford one. So Elon Musk spends $44 billion for this thing. He's worth $100 billion, right? Who gives a shit? What does he fucking care? His 27 children aren't going to go hungry. But if you compare sports franchises to these social media networks, there are even fewer social media networks of any import, and he now owns one. Him, Zuckerberg, and I don't know, whoever else, there are very, very few people that have this prestige. Okay. And another thing that happens when these new owners come in, Bill Simmons calls it the new owner syndrome. They want to make big changes because they think they're smarter than everybody else. And they fire a coach, or they make when Donald Trump owned the Generals in the USFL, he signed Herschel Walker to a contract that ruined the entire league. In defiance of everything. Okay. New owner syndrome. So maybe he's just having new owner syndrome, and he's trying out all this shit. It's going to fail. And he's going to be like, oh, fuck, I have to stop doing this now and let the people that know what the fuck, how to run a sports franchise, run the sports franchise. And maybe I shouldn't have let go all of the people that did the moderation. Whoops. It's just my theory. Whoops. I'm not sure I buy it, but it is a theory. Oh my God, we got right. It was exactly
right. It was exactly right. Well, I think he's the kid that sits down. He thinks he can play chess because he watched, a chess movie, and so he thinks he can do it.
Yeah.
And so he sits down at the chessboard. He has no idea what he's doing, and as soon as he's losing, he just hits all the pieces off and knocks the board on the floor and stomps away and says, "Nah." So.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's what we're up against.
Yep, I think you're right.
Or he burns it. He's intentionally burning it down for some other goal. Who knows?
Well, that all signs point to yes. Okay. Next.
Oh, the Farrah Fawcett. All right. So we tipped our hat to this at the beginning of the show here. Oh my God, Tom Barrack was acquitted on all charges. Let me tell you, that was a good case against him. For the jury to just not get it and not understand the threat, and to not, now that can, the shoulders of that can go on the prosecution of not, it's not that they didn't have a good case against him, it's that they weren't able to educate the jury as to why this matters, to where this very fancy guy and his very fancy lawyers, he got on the stand, he went and he said, look, I think it's like, if two sides can't agree and I'm able to get people to come to the table and do stuff, what's wrong with that? That's a good thing, right? And positioned himself as a sort of de facto ambassador for helping the world and helping business, and what's wrong with any of this, and everything was done. And the jury bought it. So we're really screwed. I don't have a good thing to tell you guys about all this. I mean, I think it unfortunately will make the Department of Justice more hesitant to pursue these cases, which they should be doing very aggressively instead. I don't know that this is going to be okay, we learned our lesson with Tom Barrack, and so let's go in. This also gets a lot of people off the hook that were involved in all of that, that are incredibly powerful and very dangerous, and anti-American, anti-democracy. So it doesn't matter what their visa says,
Yeah.
So it didn't. I don't have anything good to report on this, guys. I think it's an incredible indictment of the American people's understanding of what a foreign asset is, why an agent of a foreign power needs to register, what kinds of how we're threatened in terms of our national security and now our social discourse and everything, because these folks with all this money propped up and all this agenda get to go in and mix it in with our politicians and mix it in with even our media companies and everything, and our corporations and our businesses and our real estate, this guy, and bring hostile foreign powers, bring their money, bring their resources, put the connective tissue together for someone who's not our friend to have a lot of leverage over our nation in every facet. And so, damn.
Yeah.
And I knew that guy wasn't going to go to jail. I just didn't know the way that he would get out of it would be to be acquitted rather than to play a card.
Yeah.
So
now you've been saying this for as long as I've known you, that FARA, which is if you're an agent of a foreign government, you have to register with our government and let people know. That's kind of the basis of it, so that the government knows. Otherwise, what you're doing is spying is what it is.
yeah.
And you've been saying, hey, if we made people who are getting paid by foreign governments who go on TV or write op-eds or whatever, disclose who's paying them, that would go a long way towards cleaning up the media and getting rid of disinformation. I think that's a great idea. So just so people realize why this is important, we can't have these rich, powerful people fucking around, acting as if they're independent operators when they're actually being financed by foreign governments, in some cases hostile foreign governments, right? And
especially with an aim to get their hook into the media, right? Hook into a discourse. But that's what Paul Manafort, what part of what came out of the underlying evidence in his indictment all those years ago was all this correspondence with the New York Times to get the pro Kremlin version of what needed to go on in Ukraine into the op-ed pieces, into it, and people don't know the difference between editorial and op-ed, and they just don't get it. They're just reading the New York Times, and there's an article talking about how Yanukovych is the greatest thing ever, and next thing you know, Crimea's a whole bunch of people are dead. There's a river of blood underneath Paul Manafort, and Putin's got Crimea. So this is that's how dangerous it is, and I think maybe our guests can help illuminate this. It's so hard for us storytellers, right? This is why I started The World Beneath, is because trying to just do it in the discourse and battling as many blows as I could land with the truth and fact, and here's some history and here's some context. It wasn't as powerful as a piece of media. It wasn't as powerful as a podcast for people listening. It wasn't as powerful as something you could see in television or film. Not many folks are reading. Americans that are sort of the low information, they're going to get it through the more colorful media, things they can watch, things they can listen to. And in trying to sort of say, here are the real stories of spies, right? Here are the real stories of gangsters. Here's the real stories of how it all works. We are not, I think that the average American is then just taking that as the complete thing, that if it's not like a microchip in a briefcase under a bridge with a guy picking it up and then it's somehow not spying, right? So I don't know how, we're just going to have to tell more stories and tell them with new characters in a different way so that people can kind of understand what we're up against and how vulnerable we are. I don't know what else to do, but to just keep telling story. I really don't.
I think it's going to be, hopefully we'll look back on this like we look back on the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearings of in 1991, where at the time no one knew what sexual harassment was and why it was important and how pervasive it was and why it's fucking awful. And now we're all like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. Maybe if we had known then, this horrible person would not be on our Supreme Court. Okay.
Maybe, but then we did push Brett Kavanaugh in through quite recently. So
yeah, well, that's a different. You and I know nothing about that. Okay, we don't want to keep our guests waiting. So
we want to keep him waiting, and we want to get to some
He's got to go. He can't stay too long. So let's do the karaoke, and then we're gonna bring him in.
All right, you guys.
Yeah. All right. This is good karaoke, and thanks to Chunk as always for the animation.
When I think back on all the crap I've seen on Twitter, it's a wonder I still tweet at all. But it sure beats Instagram, MySpace, and Friendster. Throwing sheep up on my Facebook wall. Melon Husk, he wants to charge me $8, or else I'll keep hemorrhaging followers. Yet he's so desperate for us to stay. Fuck him. I got a YouTube handle over to Substack of Amble. If Melon Husk dares take my blue check away. Elmo says I gotta pay a week before election day. Elmo will take my blue check away. Elmo says I gotta pay a week before election day, or Elmo will take my blue check away. Elmo says I gotta pay, no pony for me. Elmo will take my blue check away. Elmo says I gotta pay cause he's owned by the KSA. Elmo will take my blue check away. Fuck him.
Oh, right. Okay. So everyone knows those were the worst tweets we could find.
Yeah.
Been horrible here for reminding everyone it has also been horrible on Twitter for a very long time.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Mommy Mouse 007, whoever that account is. I did not make up Melon Husk. I don't know if she did either, but it's really funny. But I'm giving her credit for that.
Okay, great.
Melon Husk, I think it's funny. Okay, our guest tonight is the writer of Captain Phillips, Richard Jewell, the writer and director of The Comey Rule, which is a fantastic movie that I hope everyone watching this has seen. He's also super involved in all these races. He gets so involved in things because I get emails from him introducing me to candidates that he's just great. Yeah, and we're happy to have him here. Billy Ray, welcome to the 5-8. How are you?
Hello, guys.
Hi.
How you doing?
Well, we're hanging in there.
Good.
How are you? Because you really are on the front lines of everything. You're now on the Twitter front lines. You throw punches on Twitter. You are, and
is it really a punch if you're throwing it at Dinesh D'Souza?
I don't know. I think you could go like this. Yeah, it might be like that. I don't know.
If you blow hard enough, he falls over. So it's kind of low hanging fruit.
It's pronounced stupid. I think that's usually how I say it.
No, see, this is the key thing. We can't call them stupid.
Yeah,
we cannot call them stupid. That's how we lost them in the first place.
Why on earth not? As he says in British Wonder. You did a masterful job trolling him. Yeah, it was really good stuff. So how do you feel heading into the election? Are you hopeful? Are you on the fence?
I feel really good about the Senate. I suspect Georgia will be a runoff, which is a drag, but I think Warnock will win the runoff. If anybody is looking to be a hero in the next 3 or 4 days, go to Nevada, go help Catherine Cortez Masto. That's the race that everybody in the Senate's worried about. She should win, but it's tight. It's really tight, and it shouldn't be because she's, an extraordinary senator and just a great woman. I've gotten to know her a little bit, and she's great.
Okay.
But I think we're going to do fine in the Senate. Obviously, I'm a little worried about the House. I was not a month and a half ago. I've been saying for a year I thought we would expand in the House. And about a month and a half ago, Ted Lieu, who is really the person who reads the tea leaves better than anybody, he said we're going to gain in the House. But all of the excitement about abortion, about Dobbs, it just sort of plateaued mid to late September. And so things are moving back in the wrong direction. That said, 58% of Americans believe that MAGA is a threat to democracy, including 25% of Republicans. Republican self-identification is down by 25% since November of 2020.
Wow.
All those numbers are very, very encouraging. Those Republicans are not becoming Democrats, but they're becoming independents. And Democrats know how to win the votes of conservative-leaning independents. No shock. This will come down to, do young people come out and vote? If they do, we're going to absolutely stomp. And if they don't, we're going to struggle. Okay.
So, we have Victor Shi, who's this amazing young activist for getting out the vote for Dems and on student campuses and everything. He's not even 21, and we have him on the show. And he's our sober driver when he's on the show. He's the adult in the room. So he has been tweeting out quite a lot of positive, like campus polling and statistics on what's happening with young voters. And so there's the young Republicans. Yes, it looks like they will come out, but not in the numbers that they used to. And the younger Dems, what he's seeing is quite like a big uptick and them showing up. And I know we always sort of cross our fingers and hope for the young youth vote, and then, things happen. But it does feel different this year. I think from the part, I think they're getting what they're not sort of like, only presidential midterms. They're not sort of.
No, I don't get that sense at all.
Yeah.
Look, if you poll Americans on what value means the most to them, freedom is number one, and it's not close. Freedom outpolls justice by 22%, by 22 points in America, which will come as no shock to anybody who's Black, right? Because they're saying justice, justice, and white people are saying, well, yeah, justice, it's important, but what I really want is the freedom to say stupid shit and not be called a racist. And by the way, if you want to know where equality sits with Americans, equality is 10x down from justice.
Yeah, of course.
As a priority. But anyway, my point is.
No surprise to any woman. Yeah.
Of course. So for so long, Americans believed that Democrats were more likely than Republicans to restrict freedoms. Well, okay, that's not true anymore. Post Dobbs and post the imposition of government-mandated pregnancy on American women, and the idea of a surveillance state being born in every police department in America in order to enforce this insane law, the Supreme Court just took a freedom away from a large chunk of Americans. And it's freaking women out, of course, but it's also freaking men out. It's freaking Latino men out in a way that people didn't anticipate before. That joke about Republicans being the dog that finally caught the car. I think that's true. As I said, the peak of rage or outrage about it seemed to be late September, but I don't think it's gone away. I think those people are going to go vote. And I think women, as always, will have to lead us out of this.
Yeah.
I think
okay. Well, we're ready. I just, I'm dressed for it.
It's funny to think that the pundits on these shows are like, well, the abortion thing was a big deal for a couple of weeks, but now it's, well, if you're like a 22-year-old woman, I think maybe it's probably still important, like really important,
Absolutely.
like right on the forefront of your mind. And it's a couple of months of, although the gas prices are higher. I don't know, inflation.
Oh God. Okay. Well, look, we were on fire just because we're not on fire about it the same way. Maybe.
Mhm.
I mean, it was burning
Sure.
of like, oh my gosh, it didn't, the will didn't go away. I voted early. I
absolutely
got
true.
everybody else I could get to vote early. I'm just determined. I'm just,
Right. And also I'll tell you, I
thing.
do messaging for about 75 sitting members of the House and Senate and another 70 candidates that are running in this cycle, all for free. Obviously, this is the unpaid half of my day. I know these candidates, they're exceptional. They're in some cases extraordinary. And there's not a one of them that should even be in an argument about their race, because they're running against candidates that are just completely unworthy of office. So in places where Democrats actually knocked on doors and people actually got to meet the Democrats that are running, I really truly believe we're going to be fine. I just don't think it's possible to look at Raphael Warnock and look at Herschel Walker and say Herschel's my guy. I know a lot of Georgians will do that, but I just don't think enough will.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm right there with you.
So.
I think now one of the things, because you just tipped on that,
Mhm.
you're a wordsmith. You're great with words.
Thanks.
We're all wordsmiths here. I do feel like I wanted to ask you about this. I feel like what helped with we're pro-democracy and against candidates who, that's actually something that's on the ticket now in terms of we want to save democracy, and where it was penetrating that the phrase election denier, that moniker seems to have kind of naturally come about to then be something that you can hang on someone. Are you an election denier? Are you election denier? Are you election denier? And so I wanted to know from you, what are some other semantics that you've been working on, things that we can help with? And then I want to talk about the Red Mirage again, because I know we were heavily involved in that. So just so everyone here, because you do have a lot of folks watching you right now. A lot of us, Twitter, I know it's horrible. We're all in despair over it, and it's terrible what's happened, but we still have a big voice. We still can pierce the discourse. What are some of the semantics that would be most helpful for us to be using and pushing even up into the last moment?
Okay. So look, the thing that Americans hate most, the thing that psychologically makes a conservative voter is a shared fear of chaos. That has been that's in the ads aimed at every Republican for as long as any of us have been alive. It's what the Willie Horton ad was about. If you vote for Michael Dukakis, a black convict on furlough is going to come murder your family. Democrats are soft on crime, chaos. Then after 9/11, Democrats are soft on terror, chaos. Then Democrats are for open borders. Democrats are for burning cities. Democrats want to defund the police, etc. That was the argument that was always made, because if you give a conservative the choice between authoritarianism and what they perceive to be chaos, they'll pick authoritarianism every time. They're doing it right in front of us. Okay, but for the first time ever, by 17 percentage points, Americans now believe that there are more extremists on the right than on the left. Okay, so as much as we've talked about the radical left all of our lives, the radical right is a real thing with definable features that Americans understand and that Americans are now afraid of appropriately. Okay, what we need to be selling out there is that we are the antidote to chaos, that we are actually just for responsible, effective government. Chaos was 30 cars backed up in a rural parking lot in a hospital 2 years ago because there were no ICU beds available. Chaos is people bringing AR-15s to a polling place. Chaos is January 6th. That's not us. Okay, so what we need to be selling out there is just calm, effective government. The antidote to chaos, the opposite of chaos in political terms, is not order, it's community. In poll after poll, what we're seeing is that people are craving community. They've been told for 6 years that they have to hate their neighbors over political differences, and they're fucking exhausted. And they want to get back to a time of bake sales and Little League and looking after each other's kids and knowing that if they are pulled over on the side of the road with a flat tire, a neighbor's going to pull over to help without checking first to see if your bumper stickers match theirs. That's what Americans want.
That's great.
They want that feeling of getting their neighbors back. Okay. So what we are selling is community versus chaos, votes versus violence, laws versus lies, books versus bans, truth versus tantrums. That's a really simple argument. And
I
it's
knew you were the one to come.
That's great. I took too many notes.
Okay.
I love that last bit. I love it so much. Okay.
But that's what we're selling, because that's what we are. I mean, what the Democratic Party does, what it's based on, is the idea of working for working people. And that is that idea of community. And that's what I've been pitching to every candidate that I work with for the last 2 years.
Okay. Everybody got that in the audience? You got it?
I think community versus chaos is great.
Yeah, community versus chaos is amazing. I'm seeing that all in. Pull that clip, Brett is saying. Okay, we're going to make
we're pulling the clip. Yeah. Turn the TikTok camera on. Yeah, we don't have a TikTok camera. Okay. We'll pull the clip.
So then let's talk about the red mirage that quite possibly would happen and what we think we're going to see. We've been through this already once. We went through it in 2020. So what can people expect to see, and how can we counter it's rigged, it's crazy, they're stealing, how can we counter that in the moment, in the days after the election?
I don't know necessarily that it matters if we do, right? I mean, the votes are going to be the votes, and the votes are going to be cast, and the ones that are legally cast are going to be counted. And at the end of the day, if a bunch of MAGAs want to go bananas and decide that something was rigged, okay, God bless them. I can't stop them. What the fuck do I care? It's got nothing to do with anything. Like, okay, go ham, have a ball. But so what? At the end of the day, you're going to have real people counting real votes, and then we'll know. And that'll be that. It may be 3 days of crazy town. Okay. That's where we are in America right now.
Truth versus tantrums.
Truth versus tantrums.
Yeah. It's also not one candidate running. It's like the presidential is like a doer. This is going to be a bunch of different things. And what do you Oz against Fetterman, which seems to me to be like, who the fuck?
That's Fetterman. That's in the bank. I think Tim Ryan is going to beat JD Vance.
I mean, he must.
I really think Sherry Beasley's got a shot to beat Ted Budd in North Carolina. I think Maggie Hassan's going to hold serve. As I said, I think Warnock eventually holds serve. I think Catherine Cortez Masto is going to win. I just don't know. We'll have to count the ballots and see if the restaurant workers come out. She'll be fine.
Wow. Okay.
This is good.
Okay.
This is really good.
Anything else you want to share with us? We don't want to keep you too late, because we know you can't stay on for the rest of the show. Busiest guy in town.
Well, can I give you like a 3-minute thing? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay. In 2016, there were 6.2 million Americans who had voted for Obama and then voted for Trump. They're called flip voters. 1.3 million of them came from 3 states: Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Okay, 1.3 million in those 3 states, which is why the blue wall crumbled on that night. So somebody very smart did a deep dive. Who were those 1.3 million voters, and why did they vote the way that they did? Well, here's what they found out. That voter, that flip voter in those 3 states, on average, works 2.5 jobs, commutes 3 hours a day, and thinks about politics 4 minutes per week. Okay? So you go up to that guy in Allentown, in Lansing, in Eau Claire, what have you. He's working 2.5 jobs. He's commuting 3 hours a day. He's thinking about politics 4 minutes per week. I guarantee you he's taking his medication every other day to make 30 pills last 60 days. He's got a kid with special needs, and he's got a mom in a nursing home if he's lucky. You go up to that guy and you say, you've got white privilege and I don't like your pronouns. He's going to tell you to go fuck yourself. And he should, because it's got nothing to do with his life. Absolutely nothing. And the reason why Democrats allowed this election to be close is because we insist that people celebrate things that they have just learned how to tolerate. And that's death. If you were to say to that voter, gay rights, he'd say, okay, gay rights, fine, whatever. Like, I know a guy who's gay. He works in HR. He's fine. I'm fine. But don't tell me if I don't march in a parade that I'm a homophobe. And yeah, I know black guys. I work with black guys. They're fine. I'm fine. They like the Bengals. I like the Browns. It's not an issue. But don't tell me if I don't like critical race theory that I'm a racist. But it's never enough for Democrats. If you don't come all the way with us, we cancel you. And that's how we lose those voters. That's how we lose industry town voters. And what Democrats have to learn how to do, and I've been begging my candidates for years on this, we have to learn how to call out the left for its excesses. When the San Francisco Board of Education says we're not going to name schools after Abraham Lincoln anymore because he's not woke enough. Every Democrat in America should have been in front of a microphone that day saying, that's fucking insane. That doesn't speak for me. The left is a part of my party, but it's not the sum of my party. It's not the face of my party. It's in the tent with the rest of my party. But the left and the Democratic Party are not the same thing. And until Democrats figure out how to do that, until we stop running races like we're afraid of AOC's Twitter feed, we don't deserve to lead. And we're going to lose some of these close ones, which we should not lose. The smart Democrats know that the votes are in the big middle, where they've always been. And you have to be willing to call out the excesses of your own party. That is not to say that the radical left and the radical right are the same thing. Of course they're not. Their extreme fringe wants to replace democracy with authoritarianism. And our extreme fringe wants everyone to go to college for free. Okay? Not the same thing. It's comparing apples and chainsaws. But until you reach a point where you're willing to call out the excesses of your own party, you make yourself susceptible to the kinds of charges that always hurt Democrats. And it's fucking embarrassing. It has to stop. There shouldn't be an election in this country that's close. We are not a divided country. We are not a 50-50 country. Look at where Americans are on minimum wage. 70% are with us. Look at where Americans are on abortion. 70% are with us. Look where they are on violent history checks for guns. 95% are with us. Look at where they are on the environment. Look at where they are on everything. We're in the 70. This country is 70-30, like reasonable people versus lunatic fringe on the right. We are not a divided country, but we have allowed the narrative to be co-opted into thinking that we're a 50-50 split country. It's totally fucking untrue. It's actually the biggest of the big lies. And until we start acting like it, we're going to make close races out of races that should be runaways for us.
Bravo. Bravo, I say. That was great. Yes.
That was good.
Yeah.
I'm fired up about this shit.
Yes. Yeah. No, I get it. Good. And and then we can put Social Security, which I've been screaming about for 6 years because I knew they were going to get rid of it.
That's right.
And Medicare, and put that in there and wait until that chaos comes. Wait until the Medicare that was, if you were lucky enough to be able to have a parent that was in a nursing home and had care there, all of a sudden that's gone and they're in your living room.
That's right. The only thing I will add to it is on the community versus chaos idea. If you are a Democrat and you want to get your neighbors back, you got to have your neighbors back. You got to start listening again. You got to lower your guard. You got to start trusting again. It's the only way we're going to heal your district, your state, and this country. It's annoying and it requires courage to take that first step, but you just can't write your neighbors off. You got to find a way to include them back in the conversation. They actually want to be there.
Okay.
Let's
go get our neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless the neighbors have one of these big pickup trucks with like 17 flags out.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
If they're in Let's Go Brandon territory, no, you can't. And by the way, last thing, this really is the last thing. 30% of this country has always been crazy. Go back and look at what Americans were writing before the Revolutionary War, before the Civil War. 30% of this country was batshit. The day that Richard Nixon left office, his approval was at 29%. There's 30% of this country, you cannot move them. That's okay. They just never had the internet to communicate with each other before. Now they do. So they seem like this block that is in the way of everything. They're not. They're 30%. They're out there. The other 70 you can have a conversation with. So let's focus on that. That's the big middle. That's where the wins are.
Excellent. Okay, so you're on Twitter. What's your Twitter's Billy Ray? What is it? 522.
Billy Ray 5229.
Okay, Billy Ray 5229.
But now you have to pay $8 every time you want to come read one of my tweets. Sorry, that's the way it goes.
We can pay to DM you, which is exciting.
We're going to keep negotiating it down. It was 20, now it's 8. Maybe by Monday it'll be 4,
Let's
which is
call
what it already
Stephen.
is.
Yeah, we can call
What a
Stephen Billy and
putz.
say, okay, get it down to $2.99, Stephen. Come on,
What
Stephen
a
King.
putz. Good Lord. All right, guys. Great
All
talking
right.
to you.
Thanks for
Billy Ray,
coming
thanks so
on,
much for
Billy
coming on.
Ray.
Thanks so much. Great to see
Thank
you.
All right.
That was great. That was
The
wonderful.
best. Yeah.
Awesome.
The best.
Okay, now I'm going to turn my page. Wait, before we get off the election, this Oz thing is crazy to me. I mean, okay, so I get like the Herschel Walker thing. Okay, I know that, people look at Herschel Walker and they look at the badge and they look at like little clips on Twitter.
Yeah.
Herschel Walker is a god in the state of Georgia. He's probably the best athlete that state has ever produced. And if you listen to him talk on the stump, like he's very charismatic. He's funny in a sense that he has a sense of humor. I don't find his jokes funny. I think he's repulsive, but he knows how
He's
to
a
work
people
the
person.
crowd. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he knows how to do all that.
I think that race scares me a little bit more than other ones because I can see people falling under the seductive power of this guy. With that said, if he becomes a senator, good luck, Republicans, trying to get this guy to do whatever. He's going to do whatever the fuck he wants. I got news for you. He's not going to be like, oh, Mitch McConnell says I have to do this. Oh, let me hop too. He's going to be like, fuck you, do whatever I want. But the Oz thing to me is a bafflement. Who the fuck are the people in Pennsylvania voting for this Turkish agent?
I think
he's buddies with this dictator. He refuses to renounce his citizenship. He murders puppies. He said during the pandemic that we should be willing to sacrifice the lives of our children for the economy, to open schools. He's a and all the crappy shit and these quack remedies, and he doesn't fucking live there. And he's not like none of the where is his constituency? Who likes this guy? You know who doesn't like him? Oprah. She came out against him today.
Finally. Yeah. And I know people are like, what do people expect Oprah to do? It's like, well, you hoisted this guy on us and trust washed it in, even though it was years ago. We just need your opinion. Who are you endorsing? Go ahead and chime in. We're going to assume you know him better and longer than a lot of any of the voters in the state that he doesn't live in. So, because you actually, so anyway, at least she came out and she said for many reasons, I think she's endorsing Fetterman. So, so I appreciate that. Yeah, it was, I don't think it was too late, but boy, it was getting right up there to the wire.
I know.
So
I think we should put a little N before his last name and a little I after his last name, because then it's just Nazi, right? Isn't that it? It's Nazi. Yeah, that's it. Let's. I call him like I see him. I'm sorry. Like Erdogan is a dictator. Like you're not.
Yes, he is.
It's insane to me. So okay, moving on. What's next?
Well, we have like here. Okay, I'm gonna put the timer on. We have this thing that you did today. I do want to we had Bibi in here and then we moved. I don't know where he got moved around to.
Let's talk about Bibi. I
want to talk about Bibi, but we
have
can
to
talk about it in the same thing because it's this sort of using theocracy, right? Using a sort of extreme religion or cults or anything to gain political power or to regain political power. And I just am I'm not shocked that Bibi is back in power in terms of the folks that were voting him in and how cynical he'll move to have that power. I think actually I'm going to say something, guys. I think really the way that they squatted in their residence because the wife didn't want to move because she probably has it all just right, just how she likes it. And she's very queen-like and thinks that that's her home and this is her thing. And she's got it there and she got it decorated just right. She's got it just how she wants it. These are all her things. I think that wife, I'm sorry. I think she's a problem. Not that he's not the biggest problem, but it's almost like she just wanted her house back. So he came running back and he certainly wanted to get rid of these fraud charges. And it looks like he's going to be able to do that. He'll be able to go in and just strip this down. And all of a sudden he's a criminal. This isn't like we just don't like someone's politics. We're throwing names out. This man actually legitimately is a criminal. He's one of Putin's puppets. His party was bad enough. And now he's moved on to embracing this even more extreme, a far religious, talk about religious extremism, right? A party that is literally wants death for folks that don't believe like they believe or are living in the place that they don't want them to live in. It's just horrendous that this man is still in power. The only thing we can hope for is that they do have a lot of elections and maybe he'll get voted out again. I don't know. It's going to be tough to keep trying to be an ally somewhere where they insist on installing a strongman who's a Putin puppet in the middle of an ongoing genocide right now. It's just jarring and shocking and horrific. And I just needed to say all of that because I'm not surprised, but I am
disappointed.
Boy, is it upsetting.
Yeah. This is upsetting. It's like Nixon coming back, but if Nixon was I don't even know. There is no analog for it, really.
Well, it's Donald Trump coming back, right? So I think there's also that in that because he really fully embraced, and he always has, right? And he's more, they're more upfront about it than ever with all the stuff that these ads that Stephen Miller is running. But, it's again, I want you to talk about the Seven Mountains. It's the use of this, again, a religious extremism, whether you can do a purity test, and usually the religious extremists are very far removed from whatever prophet started the religion to begin with. But he has no place in politics anywhere in a democracy, anywhere in a place that we would say be embracing as our allies, anywhere where we'd be giving technology, anywhere we'd be receiving technology. There's somewhere in the partnership here. We got real problems. We got real problems with this. All right. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. And I agree. I mean, it's just, I couldn't believe it. I saw it. I was like, this can't be fucking real. And sometimes with that stuff, they say, it's maybe he's going to win the election. And then there's 27 different iterations of the election, but and I don't even know if it's official yet. Maybe something will happen, but, I don't know. I feel like it's like the end of Lord of the Flies where the grownups come to the island and save the kids. And it's like, okay, who's going to save the grownups? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know who's going to save the grownups. I don't know why the government allowed the fucking Twitter sale to go through. This is a fucking national security issue, which many, many people were saying, not just us, people who know shit about national security, work in national security, were warning about this guy, this clown taking over Twitter, which is a major broadcast communication hub, and the potential for malfeasance and foreign fuckery with it are off the fucking charts. And yet, we don't hear boo. We don't hear boo about it, right? No. There was I think Chris Murphy said that they were going to look into it in the Senate, but what does that mean? I mean, I don't know that there's power there to do anything unless it's federal, like executive branch stuff. So I don't know. Moving on to the just 7M. I had Catherine Stewart. She wrote this book called The Power Worshippers. She was on my podcast today. She's wonderful. The book is about basically Christian nationalism, which is something that me personally, I have trouble wrapping my brain around because there's a lot of different kind of threads of it, a lot of different strands. It's not like I talk a lot about Leonard Leo because I grew up Catholic and I'm from New Jersey. He's from New Jersey. Like I get what he is and what he represents to the religion. But once it gets into the evangelical stuff, I don't understand it, me personally, well enough to really grasp what they're doing here. So she does a great job in the book and on the podcast and the discussion of breaking this down. 7M stands for the 7 mountains thing that they talk about, where they want to conquer the 7 mountains, which are like finance and family and education and religion and I forget what the other ones are.
It's media. Literally culture war. Yeah.
But it's not just about see, that's the other thing. It's culture war is part of it. But the main thing is it's about power. Political power. These guys, they don't want to share. They're absolutists. They don't say, well, you know what? It's nice that we have our say. We just wanted our seat at the table. they want their seat at the table, and then they want to fucking get rid of anybody else at the table that isn't them. And that's not how we work in this country. And they've already made tremendous inroads, Christian nationalists have, certainly to the court system. And I think every time that Sam Alito opens his stupid fucking mouth between now and Tuesday, it increases the anger and rage and people wanting to go to the polls, by the way. But they've already co-opted a lot of these courts. You know, it's fucked what they've done. I don't know that I don't honestly know that the law will recover from it when you have people that are just, you know, not officiating. That who was it that says, was it John Roberts that said, I just call balls and strikes? Well, you're not calling balls and strikes. If the pitch hits me in the fucking arm and you call it a strike, you know, it ain't a fucking strike, dude. We all know it, but you know, what can we do? He's the umpire, right? So it's in this position. These people are already enormously powerful, and we have to learn more about them. And I was reluctant to learn more about them because honestly, they bore me, and I think the whole thing is silly, and the things that they believe are laughable. But I don't know. I got to learn more about it because they have too much power.
Because it's inroads of power, right?
Yeah.
Because they've made real inroads to power.
Yeah. By the way, last point, the Seven Hills, this is from Revelation, which is like the QAnon book of the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, you know, this is wisdom on the seven. There's the Seven Hills. And then this guy wrote this whole book about the Seven Hills means this is, but the 5 words after that are on which the woman sat. And it's like, but you don't like women. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they just get rid of the part that they don't want. Like,
yeah.
You know, why not just take? It's almost like
well, they're also not going and reading it. So it's somebody comes up with that, and then everybody grabs onto the thing, the semantic or the mimetic, and they run with that. They don't ever go back to the original material so that they could know what you just said.
It's just like I didn't know. I looked it up this morning. I was like, this is fucking stupid. It's right here in the damn Revelation. It's in the original text.
Yeah.
It says the woman is in power. And they don't want the woman in power. Like it makes no sense to me at all. But it's like when you know the hostage, you take somebody hostage and you clip out the word and then tape it to the hostage note so that you can't trace it. It's like that. They just cut and paste little phrases out of fucking Revelation, and they're like, "Oh my God, 7 hills." I don't get it. It's really weird.
Maybe the woman is Ginny, and as soon as she's actually replaced John Roberts on the court herself, they'll bring the end of the phrase in. All right.
Nice job. You landed the plane nice right there. That was good.
Landed. Here's our announcement section. Do you have any announcements? I think go vote. Go vote. That's my announcement.
I have a couple. I do, but I've talked a lot now. But okay, and we have to play Ruth. We have to play Ruth also before we.
And we'll play Ruth. Yeah.
The last part. Okay, a couple things. Thank you to everybody that bought T-shirts. T-shirts are still available. The link is somewhere. I did not buy a
T-shirt. I need to get a T-shirt.
The T-shirts are good. And, you know, I was sent picture of people wearing the T-shirts, which is very lovely.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
Carl was very thrilled. Carl was so happy. He was like, "Oh my God, we don't." You know. So, thank you for buying the T-shirts. True Player suggested that we get a Venmo because apparently people want us to get Venmo. And so we have a Venmo now. It's on the About page. So, you know, this is, I guess we can go hang out with Matt Gaetz now because we have Venmo. It's really wonderful. So if you want to support the show, you can do it. There we go. Okay. Oh, she ordered it today. Carl will be very happy. Carl was like, "Are you going to do the show tonight? I just want to make sure. I got to be ready." I'm like, "Okay, I think we are."
Need the link.
Yeah, we'll get you the link. Okay. I can't do links and do this at the same time.
Yeah.
And then also I forgot to say I'm wearing my Clockwork Orange shirt. And the reason why is because I put that when Elon Musk took over Twitter, it was like the scene in Ghostbusters where Peck shuts down the power and all the ghosts get loose because now all the bots are out and attacking Rob Reiner and stuff. But now I feel like it's getting into an even darker place where it's now like the scene in Clockwork Orange where he's singing in the rain, and it's bad, and it's going to get worse, and it's ugly.
Yeah,
and
we're going to end up at the Joker. It's
bad. It's bad.
It's bad. It's bad.
Okay. Before we get to the last thing now, we have a word from the great Ruth Ben-Ghiat. We wanted to share this with everybody today.
I'm Ruth Ben-Ghiat. I'm a historian who writes about what happens when democracies are destroyed. And I'm here with a message for you, my fellow Americans. An ugly storm of political violence is descending on our land. In California, a man entered the home of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, hoping to harm her. She wasn't there, so he shattered the skull of her husband with a hammer. In Pennsylvania, Democratic candidate for a House state position, Richard Ringer, was knocked unconscious at his home. If you're a Republican voter, please look into your heart and ask yourself, is this what I really want? Do I truly believe that representatives of a party different than mine should be assaulted for their beliefs? If you work in business or finance, check your conscience and also your bottom line. Will political violence be good for my company, for my community, and for America's reputation in the world? I am here to tell you that once political violence starts, it is very difficult to contain. That noose on the Capitol on January 6th was not meant for a Democrat, but for Republican Vice President Mike Pence. We are at a crossroads. Will it be democracy and freedom to live in peace, or hatred and chaos? Before you vote, please look into your hearts and ask yourselves, what do I really want for my loved ones and for my country?
All right.
Thank you, Ruth.
Now, I think everybody has seen this, and I don't think there's too many Republican voters watching this, but she's got that on her Twitter page. So if you want to go show that to people, that are on the fence or that, think that it's still 1954 and Ike is running the Republican Party, it's useful to do that. I get a little bit nervous because when all the fascists, the scholars of fascism are nervous, but
they've been nervous for 6 years.
Nervous for 6 years. It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yep.
All right, last topic.
Oh, here we go. Hang on. Starting the clock. All right. The wheels of justice. All right, we want to, I don't know if this is our up note to end on, but let's just look at do we know where everything is?
We have some
Barrack thing. We've already covered that. We're not going to cover that anymore.
I think that was the only kind of down one, actually.
Well, let's talk about Lindsey Graham. What's happening there?
Got to testify. I think he's
got to testify.
Yeah.
Or
does he, or is it stayed? I don't even know. But he's going to have to eventually. He's going to have to do that.
Yeah, and, it went up to Thomas, and then something went over to John Roberts. We're not the best of talking about this. We just kind of want to get to, look. Here's one thing that happened. There was some news today that everybody remembers when Donald Trump. This is now the New York State case against the Trump organization. And remember how he moved everything for money into Trump Org 2, right? Like in Delaware.
Clever name.
Paid it all up in Delaware. And, this is, so now there's going to be a minder on that. There will be somebody that the judges agreed to, I believe, for at Tish James' request. And Donald, of course, launched a lawsuit against her. But he's going to have to, there's going to be someone looking over his shoulder now for all of the stuff that he's doing in terms of trying to move the money around, get into concealment areas with what his company's doing, or the revenues that he might have, or potential contracts that he might still be trying to engage in when he should not be, it should be frozen. But pushing that through some kind of shadow company, and you did that great show on Delaware, so people can kind of read about why he would pick that state and what kind of benefits he believes he can get from that. So there appears to be some eyes looking into that. But at the end of the day, all roads lead back to Merrick Garland. They just do. He is our attorney general. I'm not saying the Tish James case. I'm just saying for real consequential justice to happen, we are still looking at the Department of Justice to do its job. And maybe not shy away, not get discouraged, and not think that they can't go and pursue foreign agents just because they don't catch them with, a flash drive in their pants or something, running off to Russia. It's like, we're not in that era anymore. So, so what are your thoughts about Merrick Garland? And
I mean, they did catch a foreign agent with files at his golf course, and they're
yes,
not
they
indicting
did.
him. So
Yes,
I
they
don't
did.
know. I mean, look, Department of Justice was very, very quickly. Not that they wouldn't, but they got the DePape, the guy that assaulted Paul Pelosi. They came down hard on him really fast.
Yeah.
So that's the Kash Patel thing. He's been granted some amount of immunity. There's some, what's he going to do with it? I don't know. My takeaway from that is if you're been granted immunity in a case like that, you're a fucking criminal. I don't know. It's just me saying you probably did something bad.
You probably needed it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're offering it to you if you didn't really need it.
I don't know how reliable any of these people are. There's also wackadoodle.
I do think Kash Patel will lie under oath, and he will present it as if it's not a lie. Just say, no, it is my understanding, and there's nothing you can show me that would show me otherwise, that the president can just think I'm declassifying this, or have a sort of standing order. Anything I touch gets declassified because that's the way it is. Don't show it to me unless you want it classified. And I think that's going to be if a jury is willing to believe that Tom Barrack is not a foreign agent, then I don't know.
I don't know. The thing that concerns me is this rumor about that Garland is mulling a special counsel if Trump decides to run in 2024. Not that we shouldn't have a special counsel, because I thought we should have gotten, and other people have argued the same thing. I thought they should have done that fucking on day one. But it ain't day one. It's a few days before the fucking midterms, and it's taken this long for this to get through his cranium, which doesn't seem great. But and again, I'm not a lawyer. I haven't gone through legal Twitter. Some of the lawyers on Twitter seem to be cool with this, but that to me suggests I don't think he's going to indict him on Wednesday after the election's over if he's mulling the special counsel for 2024. Why would you need that when you're going to indict the guy for stealing the fucking documents, which and again, I get why Garland is sitting there like, well, it's hard to charge the guy for the Ukraine stuff, and it's hard to charge him for the insurrection because it's complicated. He wasn't down there doing it. He didn't kill the police officer. He was across town. We all know that he wanted it to happen, and that's why it happened, but he didn't do it. And it's going to be very,
we don't know what the Department of Justice is sitting on in terms of the communications.
True.
And we don't know.
I would be very surprised if there's any real communication other than people talking about Trump being explicit about ordering things happening that day. But having said that, the fucking documents, you're not allowed to take them, and he took them. And they're classified documents. They're national. They're high level.
They lied about whether he had them.
He lied about it. He refused to give them back, and some of them are missing. And they're at this fucking golf course, which is a hub of counterintelligence, foreign penetration.
We think they're there. Yeah, they're starting to say they believe some of it's there. Yeah.
Well, they got the stuff at Mar-a-Lago,
but that's not a golf course. Mar-a-Lago is a private club.
Whatever.
You're thinking either Doral or
I'm thinking. Mar-a-Lago is what I mean. Yeah. And all you have to do is pay and pretend you're a Rothschild, and you'll get in. I could be it's like fucking. It's like Some Like It Hot that Tony Curtis could just put a Cary Grant accent and say he's Shell Oil and Wall Street into the place.
We may not be able to call Trumpers stupid or not Trumpers is really not what I'm talking about, Republicans stupid, because there's a valid argument to say that helped us get to where we got. That was our participation in polarization. But we can certainly call this whole Trump thing just stupid. Like we are in dumb. This is just dumb land. This is like, is there enough evidence? So I can't with it. I can't with it with the people coming, game theorying it out one way or another, saying this and, you don't understand. And da, da, da. It's all blatant in our face. It's so stupid. that they're probably going to get away with it because it is that dumb. That's how dumb it is. It's so dumb that it's twisting the brains of very smart people to wrap around the fact that, oh my God, they're actually still doing this way and just saying, well, we don't think it is because blah, 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 right? It is dumb. The politicians are dumb. They are. The Donald's people, they're dumb. The voters, don't vilify the voters, but this Kash Patel, and it's not that they're not wily, right?
Yeah.
They're wily. They're shrewd. They're slippery. Donald's way more together than what people claim him to be.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is just a dumb, like, I can't believe it's this stupid. It's just, there's nothing creative about it. There's nothing inventive about it. It's as dumb as Elon. Just dumb. Just boring and horrible. Ugh. There.
How dumb is it? He's so dumb he has to pull down his pants to count to 11. Okay. That's
no, don't tell me those jokes. Live on air.
Okay. That seems like an upbeat place to end. Now, I don't know. Look, this guy, he's got to come out and start arresting people now. The election's going to be over. If they don't start doing stuff after this election about something as blatant as that's as this tied into national security, then we have a problem. It's just, then he's not doing the job. He's like a basketball coach. Team ain't winning. Bring in a new basketball coach is the time. So that's it. He's been warned now. Win the next game, dude.
Win the next game, or your season's up. He's had a good long run at it. He's had enough time and enough rope to make an attempt. He needs to deliver. It's time for the good.
Fuck around time has been way too long. We need to get to found out time.
It's found out time. If he can't bring in the found out time, then we need somebody who knows, who's got a mic. At least you don't even need a microscope for this. This is all on the big screen. All these crimes playing 24/7. There's no clues to be hunting down.
This is the national security equivalent of he shot a guy on Fifth Avenue. I mean, that's what it is, you know.
And now he needs to shit or get off the pot, and that's it. Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't know. I mean, we saw the gun, but we need the fingerprints. He won't let us fingerprint him. We don't want to. There's a memo from 1970 that says that we can't fingerprint a former president. So what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, I don't get it. It's dumb. It's dumb.
It's so
dumb. All right,
everybody.
I guess that's the end of the line here. It'll be a pleasure as always. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for the great comments. Thank you for the donations or the tip jar contributions, whatever these.
Appreciate that tip jar. And we're gonna do a big push over the next couple of weeks, but for our stuff that is not on Twitter, this is YouTube, so not on Twitter, even though it will stream into the Twitter feeds, and also to get our subscriptions up. So look for us to kind of be in your face a little bit, I think, over the next few weeks, because it does feel like the one house where we all did meet each other originally is burning to the ground because the arsonist took over. Is our landlord. So, unfortunately, so we're going to do that push, but subscribe, share, do everything. And we'll have hopefully some clips and some stuff that we can start sending out so people can share those as well. Yeah. We're trying to get our act together over here. It's hard. We're a little bit tired.
We are.
In the meantime, vote. Take your neighbors to vote. Everybody show up at the polls on Tuesday. If you have not already mailed in your ballot, if you did mail in your ballot, make sure you go online and you check and you make sure that your vote was counted. You should be able to do that no matter what state you're in. And so we encourage all of that. And Greg, are we taking off next Friday?
We're taking off next Friday.
We are taking a break, everybody.
We're going to bask in the glow of having won, or we're going to be leaving the country. One or the other. No middle ground.
We got plans to make. We got plans to. We got to make our plans.
We're not leaving. We're not leaving Twitter. We're not leaving the country. I'm not leaving my office. So it'll be fine.
No. I'm probably not leaving my bed, but no matter what happens, I'm tired. I'm bone tired. But we love you all. You're the best audience ever.
It's true. It's true. It's not even something. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Have a good week. We will see you in 2 weeks. And that's the show. See you next time.
See you next time.